Hey everyone, welcome back to some Blood Crest Manor content and to part 3 and the final part to how to create your very own paper mache pumpkin. Now in the last episode we left off with how you spray the inside of this with a yellow spray paint. Like I said in the last video, that can be very optional to you of how you want to do it. You can make it inside orange, you can make it pink, blue, purple, any color they make in spray paint. You can make it inside. But I will say the candle works, the electric candle, very specific, works much better on the inside of this with that yellow hue than it does with any other color. I have been tempted to try red, but I haven't given it a shot yet. I'll let you guys know how that goes. Anyway, so in the intro today, I just want to make sure I go over with you guys dry brushing, which is going to be the next part of what we're doing. Dry brushing refers to this orange and green that you see up here on the stem. That's how you detail this out. So we're going to be going from a pitch black pumpkin to a colored in pumpkin. So in this, you're going to need a paintbrush that you don't intend to use for anything really but dry brushing again. In the case of me and in this video, I use this. This is a little 1-inch brush. I get these from the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree has a pack of 3. It's a 1-inch, an 1.5 inch, and 2-inch set for $1.25. And to me, that's really, really good. And this is what I've been using, and I'm pretty happy with it. Now, I will say though, I found a even better deal at Menards last time I went, and it's these brushes right here. They're called chip brushes. Now this brush really wouldn't work good with actually painting something, not at all even because of just how brushed out it is, but I think it would work pretty good with dry brushing. Now I will admit I haven't tried using this yet, so for this video I'm going to be showing you really primarily this, but I will say there are cheap options out there that will probably work just as good or even maybe better than what I'm showing you with this brush here. But for this video, let's go ahead and talk about this brush right here and how to use it. In which it would be the same process with that one anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So what you do is you take a brush that is typically worn out, or it can be a brand new one, kind of like this one. This is how they look when they pretty much come new out of the pack, with the exception of this one's been used once or twice with dry brushing. This one's been used quite a lot. So what's going to happen is over time they'll really fray out. So what you do is you get you some paper. I use brown paper towel in this case, this stuff right here. And I just get me a few drops. You don't need a lot, just a few drops on there. And you just take your brush and you just go through like that. You just want to paint those few drops out to where it is as dry on the brush as you can. You should be hitting your brown paper towel and seeing almost nothing coming off your brush. Then you're going to take your brush and you're just going to flick it like so onto it. As you can see, this poor brush is kind of falling apart with bristles. I probably just need to throw it. Wow. Yeah, this brush is getting thrown away. So I'll show you with another brush. And that's actually a pretty good example. I'm glad I showed you all that. These brushes, once you use them for dry brushing a few times, they're pretty much done. It's a very abusive way to paint with your brushes, which is why I kind of recommend using only cheap brushes for this. Something that you don't really care if it breaks or falls apart on you. In this case, this one's still being good. You just go over it like this without throwing your brush at the camera. So basically you're just going over it like this. You know, you're wanting to go at all angles. You're wanting to go from horizontal, vertical. You're just wanting to cover the whole thing, whatever parts you're trying to paint, of course. For this video, I'm going to start off with basing it out in brown. Just taking it and giving it a good brushing over, which you'll be seeing here in just a few moments. But that's about it. I just really wanted to go over that with you all. Instead of going over it in the actual action cam video of it. I feel like it'd just be easier to demonstrate to you like that. So for the main bulk of the pumpkin, I use a brush like this. For the stem, because it's small, and you have all these detailed rivets coming down. What I do for that is I use a smaller brush like this, and you can get these out of like variety pack paint brushes. They're very simple to find. This is just a stiff bristle brush too, and you can already see how it's been used for green a few times. But so basically what you do is you're just going to come in and gently do it instead. So it's like that, you know, you're just going gently over it. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to paint all the elevated areas and leave the recessed areas. So all these black splotches you're seeing is that black exterior paint, but that's just where the raised areas got painted and the recesses didn't. And what this does is it just creates an interesting and cool depth to your pumpkin. It just has a lot of different looks and feels to it in multiple lights. This pumpkin works really good in a few different lights. But so that's going to be about it, everyone. I just wanted to go over that with you before the video starts. And now that we have, let's go ahead and get to it. Woo! Alright everyone, so now we're going to begin with our dry brushing. And here I have my 3 colors on my side. I'm going to be using True Green, Oxide Brown, or Brown Oxide actually, I think it's Brown Oxide, and Jack-O-Lantern Orange. And all of these are Apple Barrel brand, basically Walmart brand if I'm not mistaken. And they work really well. All 3 acrylic paints, just normal acrylic, nothing special, not enamel or anything like that. And so what I begin with is a layer of brown on the bottom, the top, and the stem of the pumpkin. I put a little bit more on the stem than I do the rest, and that's because the stem I want it to have more of that earthy green feel than I do in the bottom of the pumpkin. And what the brown's doing on the bottom of the pumpkin and the top of it is just breaking up that black color. Basically the entire pumpkin at this point is just pitch black, and so it really helps a lot to help break up that color with some base colors on the bottom. So we're going to base it out in brown, and then we're going to go through and we're going to do our Jack-O-Lantern Orange. Alright everyone, so it's a little bit difficult to see the brown using these cameras that I have and with the lighting in this room, but basically I just have like a light brown layer on the bottom, and I have a light brown layer on the stem. So basically, like I said earlier, this is just going to help break it up a little bit, and doing this also, it dries relatively quickly. All you need to do is have your little fan nearby, and once you get it to where you want it, just hold it in front of the fan for just a moment and it will just dry out real fast for you. Now with the orange, you can kind of do this in a little bit of different way if you want. You can put it on heavier, you can put it on lighter, depending on what you're just trying to go for. I found that Jack-O-Lantern Orange gives it a really nice orange color without being too bright for these rotted looking pumpkins. If you're wanting a pumpkin that's a little bit lighter, like the whimsical pumpkin I showed at the beginning, I recommend something like apricot. I've used that a few times and I really like how that comes out, a nice brighter orange. I'd like to do a mixture of different oranges when I'm doing something like that. But in the case of these rotted pumpkins, just that dull orange on the bottom looks really nice. For the stem, we're going to put on a decently heavy layer, probably the heaviest layer of paint on any of the pumpkin. Just on the stem and on the rivets of it where it comes down and connects to the pumpkin. You just want it to stand out really good from the rest of the color of the pumpkin. But other than that, guys, you have a completed, beautiful, ready to go painted pumpkin. And now that it's dry, we're ready to go on to the next step. Alright everyone, now that we have our dry brushing done and our pumpkin looks the way we want it, we're going to go ahead and put on another layer of spar varnish on top of this paint. So what this is going to do is it's going to make sure our acrylic paint doesn't crack, doesn't have any fading. It'll hold up to the weather beautifully using this stuff. Like I said in an earlier video, spar varnish is used as a marine grade varnish. typically on like sailboats to repel salt water. So it's about as sealant as you're going to get for something like this. But so what I do first is just like with the other things, I start from the bottom and work my way down. You just go ahead and start at the base of the stem and just work your way down to the face. Typically I go about to the top of the mouth. The stem, I typically try to do it last, so that way I can use it as a handle. Little pro tip. The stem really works out that way for you, but it is a little bit difficult to make sure that you get every little square inch of it when you're holding it by that stem at the end. So what I typically do is I just grab it by the bottom like you're seeing here and just work your way around to make sure everything is covered. If you hold it up against the light at this point, you can really see where spots are and are not covered with spar varnish. You just want to make sure you're getting every little spot covered, as much coverage as possible. And also make sure you put a good heavy layer on the cuts around the eyes and the mouth. This is because, like I said earlier, these areas aren't covered by the paper clay, and those areas can be a little sketchy. So what I do is I go ahead and just make sure they're fully covered. So give that about 24 hours to dry, and then you're going to be ready for your next part, which is going to be the bottom of the pumpkin. And just like with everything else, you're just going to start from around the pumpkin and work your way to the top of it. Now personally for me, this is where I put a mark on my pumpkins. All of my props I put the Blood Crest insignia on, and this is just something I've been doing for a long time, even before I was going to be making Blood Crest. But I go ahead and give it a mark, and then that's good to go. So once you get that on and get that dried, you're ready to go on with your spar varnish. But other than that, everyone, that'll be it until your next day after it's dried. Alright everyone, so we are at the final leg of this project, which is the spray finish I put on, which is a Krylon matte finish. I use matte finish on these rotted pumpkins because I don't want it to have a nice glossy sheen to it. If you just leave the spar varnish as it is, it will shine very brightly under any light that you put it under. As you can kind of see from this footage, you can kind of see that the brightness on the pumpkin from the sunlight is pretty severe. But once you get that matte finish on it, it really has a nice look to it and completed look to it. But I will say this, you can certainly overdo it with this matte finish. So my recommendation is put it on light and then see where you're at after that. But other than that everyone, that'll be all. Alright everyone, so that's going to be it for this one. We have officially gone over every step into making a paper mache pumpkin. Now, as you've seen that these things are not that hard to make. They do take a lot of time, that's a fair statement, but if you have the time to do it, they're not that bad. Now, now that you have yours complete though, I imagine you're going to want to set this out for people to see. You're going to want them to see it, especially near Halloween, and have it on your porch. But to do that, you're going to want to light it. Now the lighting for this, if you're thinking, oh, I'll put a candle in it, that would be a big mistake. If you put a candle in this with a real flame, you will find out very quickly just how fast paper mache, glue, and sheets can catch on fire. This will become a heaping ball of flame very quickly if you put it near any type of flame source. I highly do not recommend it, and if you do it, you'll regret it. What I do recommend is these right here. These little electric flickering candles. Now I have seen candles like this that just blink, where they just flash on and off, and that's flickering. No, you don't want that. What you want is a flickering candle. And basically what it will look like is something like this. See if I can't get it to focus in for you guys, maybe not. But you can see that it's flickering on my head. These create a really good effect inside of your pumpkin. I love these personally. I got these off Amazon. I got them in a box of 50 for 24 bucks. I'm not sure on the name brand. I bought them a little bit ago, but I'm sure it won't be anything for you guys to find. Just make sure that you're getting flickering candles. Look at your reviews, make sure that's what it says. But these work really well. You can use electric light bulb, you can use whatever floats your boat. As long as it's not going to damage the pumpkin via open flame, you should be fine. I would also steer away from anything that makes too much heat. For example, if you put something that makes a lot of heat in here, it's going to come up to the surface up here. It's not going to have anywhere to go except out the eyes and maybe the mouth a little bit. And basically this could damage your pumpkin. So avoid any type of lighting that creates a lot of heat. But other than that, everyone, that is everything. Now you can use this process for many other ways. You can make pumpkins out of it. You can make severed heads with foam heads. I'm working on one of those now. In a previous video, you saw me make a knife from the dollar store, a toy knife, into a Halloween prop, and now I'm making these as well. They carry these as well at the dollar store, and I'm just really in love with how they turn out. But you can use this method on so many different things. I highly advise all of you to just try it and experiment with it. Figure out what works best for you, the colors, the way you're cutting it. This is the process that works best for me, but it could work different for you. You know, but if you have any questions or concerns, definitely hit me up in the comments below. I'll try to answer everyone's questions as best as possible. But other than that, everyone, that's going to be it for how to make your very own paper mache pumpkin. So until next time, everybody, I'll be talking to you later. Boo!